As another year draws to a close, I often find myself looking back on my life and lying awake at night, haunted by all of my filthiest mistakes and most horrible embarrassments. Or my most horrible mistakes and filthiest embarrassments, depending on if we're talking about oral or anal. But actually, the subject of today's review is a little more audio-visual, as we break down Squidmen in the Halls, the quirky 2007 sci-fi movie musical that I wrote, composed, and directed for an independent study credit in my junior year of high school. Oh yeah, and I also co-starred in it for what is easily my most cringe-inducing on-camera appearance to date, alongside my cast of talented high school friends who actually managed to be pretty watchable, despite my chaotic and noisy original music, cloudy urine color scheme, and a storyline that is so untrue to who I am that it unironically celebrates cisgender heteronormative relationships, which is a lifestyle choice that I just can't support because those people are always coming up with the worst ideas for wedding photos. It's disgusting, but also so is my acting and vocal production in another Nick DeRamio Vault installment of Clip Breakdown. Hello television viewers, my name is Nick. Thank you so much for joining me once again on my channel for another installment of Clip Breakdown. This is the playlist where we dive into our favorite movies, TV movies, and other content we find on the web, and we give it to you hard, like a pass or fail grade for a class you got because you had to give up a few weeks of junior year to go to rehab. That's a really universal intro. Yeah, let's go with it. Before we get into this particular mess, I want you to give me a big thumbs up if you want to see even more breakdowns of the stuff that I've made in the past. Also, if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right over here. That way you never miss new videos from me. Also, I've got merch available and a Patreon where we have so much fun and good stuff going on. You see, when I break down these movies, I don't give you the full 20-minute shebang because I'm trying to interrupt you and tell you how shitty my lighting is. But if you're on Patreon, you're in the VIP group. So you got to see this whole video in its entirety, Squidmen in the Halls. And that's still available to anyone who wants to go and watch any tier of my Patreon. But I'm also incorporating some of the best feedback from my beloved patrons because I'm not the only sassy, rude son of a bitch in this town. Let's get into Squidmen in the Halls, which I chose as an intentionally absurd title because I wanted everything to have almost like a Little Shop of Horrors or Rocky Horror Picture Show level of surrealism to it. I don't know if it came off that intentional, but let's look. I don't know if you can tell, but graphic design was sort of my passion. That's why you get that funky lettering. You can also tell that when I wasn't misunderstanding Photoshop, I was playing my MIDI keyboard with 2 index fingers, trying to replicate the sounds of authentic electric guitar chords, but I think I kind of just landed somewhere in the range of what it sounds like if you listen to the brainwaves of a person having a seizure. Also, I'm absolutely obsessed with the fact that my friend Tony was in the Screen Actors Guild, so he chose the pseudonym Alex Carrier for his stage name, as though the union was ever gonna find out about my garbage cockroach movie. Although, to be fair, when I sold this to my friends as a project, I think I probably described it like it was gonna be fully ready for prime time. I said, this is about to be the next cultural phenomenon, like High School Musical. Did you hear my screechy tones? My screechy nail tones on the chalkboard sound? Right off the bat, I'm annoyed because I shot a bunch of exteriors on the brightest, sunniest day, and then tried my best to do a day for night and a rain effect. Although, once we go to the interiors, I like literally shot that on a rainy day. And that's the other thing, I shot this movie over an entire semester. Like, months passed in between each of these scenes, which is kind of cool because it gave me the experience of like really trying to string out continuity through a long period of time. Not successfully. But in the interiors, it's winter and snowy and rainy outside, so I wish I could have gotten my exteriors, like just waited for a rainy day. Like, it's New England, it'll happen. Anyway, we start with our main character running into the school building. So let's join her for this beginning song.
Something strange is happening. Something strange is happening and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm not super clear on what this is either, but so far we know it involves a whole bunch of songs that Nicholas wrote in one afternoon. This music does not sound good. I mean, I'm not talking about the vocalist, I'm talking about the do 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 do. But by this time, I had won 2 under-18 film awards in my child career. And I guess that, plus playing the limp-wristed townsperson in about 15 musical ensembles, made me think that I was somehow a music producer and songwriter. And luckily, that's a delusion I was able to maintain all the way through to my college years, by simply remaining unopen to feedback. Again, I had no control over my location when I was shooting this. So I was just shooting in the school hallways right after class, and I couldn't control the lights. All of the lights in our school had like a key you had to put in there. So we had to I digitally darkened the scenes by doing like a data night effect that was really cheap, like a free data night filter that I got for Final Cut Pro. And then I added a vignette, which is that dark edges to the frame that I guess I was using to sell that it was dark, and I would flash it back to normal lighting to make it seem like the lights were flickering. Now if I could go back, I might do the same thing and just ask someone to turn off the lights, but also you can use a practical light to get the same effect. Like this thing, it has like a strobe effect on it, and I can control the speed. So if I use that in front of the camera, you would see, or if I could really use it as a backlight, you would be able to see lights bouncing off the back of their head, and it would have looked so much more real. And that's what I hadn't learned as a filmmaker yet. There are practical things you can do which take a little bit of pre-planning, but it's cheap and super effective at selling your shot. But I mean, kids aren't good at planning. I was writing out my schedules on notebook paper with pencil, so it wasn't the most thought out thing, obviously. I didn't have to think too hard about it because I shot it over the course of 3 months. Let's go to the chorus of this song. Oh, also for the lighting, I just had my dad's halogen work lamp that I would plug into all of the different outlets and shine it directly at people and be like, I guess that's lighting.
Squid man in the halls. Squid man bursting through the wall.
Looking back, I'm not confident if we were all 100% nailing those harmonies in the recording session. Or maybe I was just being a little too polite with the audio mix for 1 or 2 of the altos on the track. I had a lot of enthusiasm for digital music production at this time, along with zero chill, which basically means I wouldn't notice if I was making your ears bleed. And some people were apparently too nice to tell me. I really see, looking back at a lot of my old work, that subtlety is something that comes with experience. I first distributed all of the songs from this musical to my community theater friends as a demo where I was just recording all of the vocals. And then one afternoon they came over and we just screamed it all into a microphone that everyone joked looked like a black dildo. Because it did. Squid Man in the Halls. That title came from some random prompt that we built a scene off of in my improv troupe, along with Samantha Russo, who plays the lead in this, who you'll see. She's actually the one running around through the school right now in her brown sweatshirt and Ugg boots. This is so 2007. It was such a moment. Why was our school yellow? I hope that this high school is not yellow walled still. That's so gross. And tan, so tan. I'm trying to show that there's crazy stuff happening at this school by people are getting snatched at the lockers or whatever. Sam will explain it.
But he's drinking someone's head. You have to push the janitor into a garbage bin. You have to punch the principal before he drinks his gin.
Is this what real music sounds like to our dogs? Because I'm getting a lot of indiscernible words and that strange high-pitched whistled sound that's making me anxious in a way that I'm going to bite your hand soon. I was like, what if I play this end of the keyboard? I was trying to have a theme for the whole movie where it's do 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 do. So I'm trying to echo that a lot through the soundtrack. I knew real pianists too, but it was my own hubris to think no, I am Lady Gaga. This was actually 2 years before Lady Gaga was even a thing. How embarrassing that I was alive before Lady Gaga was even famous. That's cancelable on the internet.
Squid man in the hall.
Okay, I don't know why I thought that would look like anything other than the girls' track team accidentally running through my shoot because it was too cold outside. I thought that I was such a guerrilla filmmaker. I was like, perfect, a crowd of people. I'll just use sound effects to make them into zombies. No amount of your extreme contrast in video game music is going to convince audiences that those are not very athletic young people with low blood fat. Although I'm making fun of my own work here, I still think it was nice that I accomplished such an ambitious project. I mean, it just comes down to what I always say, which is like, I secured the location, I wrote the script, I got the people. If only I had just put the same effort into finding some extra hands who could help me with lighting or help me with any of this, you know, so that it wasn't just me with my halogen lamp like a town crier being like, all right, now you scream over there and then you run there. But for something that I did all by myself, yeah, not the worst. I mean, it's not, I shouldn't say it's not the worst thing because we haven't seen a lot of it yet. Just wait till I come on screen and start talking. Why did I put myself in it? Because I knew I would show up on set every day, I guess.
I think this is the end for me. And how's anyone gonna ever know what was going through my head in my last terrifying minutes on Earth? Hello, my name's Trixie.
Ugh, I hate that I'm the age where I had to write a convenient camcorder into my script because smartphones couldn't record video yet. My T-Mobile Sidekick had enough room for about 30 Etch-a-Sketch looking pictures, and sometimes if you texted them to your friend, their phone would just show it as a broken image file that US cellular phones couldn't open for some reason. It was dark. If I could rewrite it, I would probably cut this whole part where Trixie talks to herself by being like, how are people gonna know what I'm doing in my final moments? Like, people don't usually talk out loud to themselves every thought like that, so we could have cut it and just had her start with the and it's a POV of the camcorder, and she's like, this is a recording of my blah blah blah, and then in the background maybe we see the audio visual equipment, or give her some sort of other room to be in. Oh, it would be cool if she was like in an audio visual room and the closet door had a window so you saw people running around outside, so we know she's hidden. That elevator had a window on it. It was a cool old elevator that we were shooting in at my local theater, and it had this cool circular glass window. I could have used that for both lighting, having a cool beam of light come through, and showing people run around outside so there's shadows. Oh, if I could turn back time, if I could find a way. Let's get back to this exposition that I included for some reason.
And by the time you found this, I'll be gone. If you're a news reporter looking to do a story on my tragic disappearance, I would request that you use this image in all of your articles about me. Okay.
Listen, I love a main character who can curate their own narrative. That's why I wrote that joke. But if you're going to create your own press photos from the inside of what looks like a padded room, I would try to avoid those harsh under-eye shadows that really add to the whole 2150 aesthetic of it all. Of course, my actress Samantha Russo looks incredibly gorgeous, regardless of my bad lighting and camera angles. You might even recognize her as Carla from my earlier film that we've broken down on this channel, Vanilla County, an award-winning horror movie at Shriekfest Film Festival. I was so lucky to have friends like Samantha who would lend her talents to my project before going on to win Miss New Hampshire and making it look easy with her powerful voice. I feel like she completely nails the role of Trixie. Like, she understood what I was trying to do with my tone even when it wasn't conveying in the script. And frankly, I knew that I could trust her to pull it off as soon as we were bonded by the trauma of both being cast as understudies in Aida. Yeah, we suffered. Understudy in her senior year? F***ing bullshit. I'm not bitter. I like that I can still see like some of the early roots of my current sense of humor in this, where she's like, just in case the news finds this, make sure you use this picture. Like, that's something I would kind of say now. Also, I like that I included that joke pretty soon into the intro. We're 3 minutes in to kind of establish like, oh, it's a comedy, lightens things up a little. But there aren't enough funny jokes. That's my main criticism. It tries to be funny a lot, but it isn't.
And the rest of this message is to Leonard. If you ever see this, I can only hope you can forgive me for everything that's happened. But I'm going to be completely honest with you now. And let's take it back from the very beginning, when we met. It was the end of autumn, and the last few leaves were just beginning to fall.
Listen, I know show business, okay? And 95% of playing the guitar is smiling really big. And as you can see from my performance here, roughly 5% accuracy when moving your hands in sync to the pre-recorded instrument loops. If you think my fake guitar playing looks inexperienced, just wait until you see my romantic interactions with a young woman. Also, the guitar thing never comes up for my character again throughout the rest of the movie. I really wanted this project to have commercial appeal, which at the time I thought meant making it about a heterosexual love story like everything on TV was at the time. And I knew even then that playing the acoustic guitar is pretty much the only thing straight men know how to do to impress women. Oh, did I just make fun of the straight people? Some of them get really triggered by that in the comments. Did that sweeping generalization make you feel oppressed? Did being the butt of a joke make you feel excluded? Go cry into your flag football jersey about it. My hilarious jokes could never eclipse what you have with your straight privilege, okay? But my big juicy ass can. As soon as I get enough money for hula lessons, it's over for you. This next one is going to be a little bit longer of a clip because for once in my life, I'm the undisputed copyright holder. And also, I'm still just a little proud of this song because it's the first one I recorded that inspired me to write the rest of the musical.
I'm staring at the watching all the cars go by, wondering, looking for something new in the sky, wondering. Oh, I'm feeling the cool blue of the sky.
We can see that, Stuart Little. You're feeling just about everything except those guitar strings that you're trying to look so good at strumming. I thought that point of the song seemed like it would be a natural switch from diegetic to non-diegetic instrument, meaning suddenly it's not music that the characters can actually hear in the world of the movie. But looking back, it's really sudden, and I'm not surprised that that elicited laughs from the audience when I showed it to people at the time. I think they thought I was making a joke about my unrealistic fake instrument playing, as though that's like a trope in cheesy musicals. So I was like, yeah, okay, it was intentional. Really, the joke is on them. I never even bothered to try making the guitar playing look real. Oh, I'm feeling the wind in my hair as I drive. That's catchy, I'm into that. You saw some fake rain earlier, but are you ready for the real special effects?
Wondering. Oh, I'm feeling the wind in my hair as I drive, wondering. Walking down the street or looking up at the sky. You'll never reach your distance if you never try. My arms are outstretched and I'm ready to fly. Here I am wondering.
And they both instantly died. No, I'm just kidding. But as far as the quality of music goes, it could have been a good stopping point for the entire project right about there. And this is after I cut pages of dialogue and entire scenes and full songs, which indicates that I was just starting to learn to edit myself at this point. Granted, that's a painful lesson that I seem to relearn with every single video I produce. I already can think of ways that I would have improved this point to make the characters come through a little more. Like if Leonard was singing this and he saw like a star up in the sky and he was like, oh, it's so beautiful as he's singing, because he's sort of the optimist, but Trixie realizes it's a meteor, so she like pushes him out of the way and it just misses him. That sort of establishes her as the more like street smart one and him as the more happy-go-lucky person. Also, not me going for the sound effects. That wasn't supposed to be that. Like, I really just had to like get this project done by the end of the semester, and I think those sound effects were the last thing to lay in, and I was too lazy to find my library card to go rent the vintage sound effects CD that I was always ripping sound effects off of. Anyway, I want to rewrite this movie to give a little more depth to their relationship and make Sam's character Trixie a little bit stronger, because she kind of meets Leonard and instantly becomes happy-go-lucky like him, which I don't think is saying the right thing about gender politics. Trixie and Leonard are looking at this weird green object that fell out of the sky, which is clearly a pool toy, and Leonard is instantly in love with Trixie, and he's like, this is the start of a new adventure, and she might be feeling something, but she's a little more cautious. Listen, let's just say from the way that he runs, I should have at least written Leonard to be bisexual. But I'm not going to J.K. Rowling this character by retroactively pretending that he had rainbow underwear on the whole time. The biggest thing that I think I maybe got out of my higher education at art school that sort of seems to be lacking here is that the script doesn't necessarily feel true to me and my story. And they really kind of teach you to write what you know. Not that I don't think a queer person can write straight or heteronormative relationships, but I just can tell that I was writing and directing something that I had no personal experience with, and then I chose to portray a character who was doing something that I had no experience with, and I'm not an experienced actor, and I was not a closet case at this time. So I feel like the movie kind of cowers away from my then identity as an almost aggressively out of the closet, jailbait MySpace LiveJournal twink. And I had been waving that freak flag since the age of 13. So I probably could have leaned into it. I'm really proud that I made this movie, and I'm proud that I had Sam as the lead because she's killing it. But I know that if I had centered this story around a gay romance or a queer kind of love, I think it would have made for a much more honest final product. And honestly, that fact alone probably would have garnered it more attention than making it this really forgettable sort of formulaic thing. It's like, did I want it to be less interesting? That's what making something straight is. It's making it boring and shitty. So it's a good lesson, and I'm also being gentle with myself because this was 13 years ago, and we, again, had very few examples of standalone gay movies at the time. I was afraid to even typecast myself at the time as a queer artist or someone who could only make gay things, because that seemed like more of a gimmick or an accessory to the mainstream at the time rather than just a natural thing that some people are and therefore deserve an equal share of representation in media. I thought that straight washing my art would show some sort of restraint or maturity. Phooey! Those are not good words to associate with my radical sense of fucking shit up. Now I know that the first and most important thing that any artist can do is be like as boldly and authentically true to themselves as humanly possible in everything that they make. Our unique stories are actually the most important thing that we can offer to the people around us. Some of those thoughts that I just said sound like they were developed while I was smoking pot in between those art school classes, but still good advice. I'm really out here acting in a scene. Oh, I hate this.
I like to travel a lot. I go from place to place. I'm the type of girl who just can't stay in one place for too long.
I see. Are we in love?
What?
I said, are we in love?
I heard what you said, but you just can't ask people that. We're perfect strangers.
Well, I can't help it if that's the way I feel. Life is much too short to waste time.
Actually, I plan on living quite a while, so you see, just not gonna work out, okay? So, bye.
I'm cringing so hard that my saliva glands feel spicy right now. Ugh! I don't even want to upload that clip, but I just monologued about being boldly fucking true to myself or some shit. Samantha's acting is funny and realistic, while I am the creepy, cringy cousin who hasn't been acting right since they got sent home from summer camp a few years ago. Again, I was going for happy-go-lucky. I think I could have used a little more direction from someone outside of my own dumb head. My only experience playing a straight character was the dad in a play version of A Christmas Story the year earlier. The dad in A Christmas Story is the definition of toxic masculinity. How come it's okay for straight men to put a lamp of a woman in the window, but when I got that glow-in-the-dark dick sculpture, everyone in the neighborhood yelled at me? Way to tell the whole neighborhood that you have a knee fetish. You have a fishnet stocking fetish, Mr. Ralphie's dad. You dumb son of a bitch. By the way, I hope everyone had a great Christmas. I'm recording this on December 21st, so I hope everyone had a great holiday, and it's gonna be New Year soon. Ow. So I hated all of that. I hate that my hair is so long in this. Right after Leonard meets Trixie, my two supporting characters named Tiny and Chuck come up, played by my friends Emily and Tony. I feel like it's like outing someone if I say their last names on the internet, because it's like, they didn't ask to know me. So Chuck and Tiny come up, and Chuck is really curious about this mysterious object that fell from the sky, while Leonard is off, you know, in love. His new goal is to get Trixie to fall in love with him. So let's jump into Chuck and Tiny's relationship.
Man, do you know what this is?
No.
Me either. Something to study.
Ew, put it down. It must be filthy with germs.
No can do, Tiny. I plan on using the powers of my mind to decode this mystery.
Oh my.
What do you think this is?
I think it's medicated Gold Bond foot powder, so your sinuses are gonna start draining like a scary amount in just a few seconds. Let's take a quick break so I can grab you a Gatorade, shall we? I'm pretty sure I knew at the time that it wasn't healthy to blast baby powder into someone's face, but for the sake of my shot and the final project, I don't think I wanted Tony to know all of that. Tony, I am so sorry that you can never prove your future health complications are a direct result of this shoot. How do I know that you haven't been out huffing baby powder every day since then? Just waiting for the day that you could cash in on Big N. Who even is Alex Carrier? Is that even your real name? I'm just kidding. Thank you again. Over on Patreon, Nina says, not that kid with a face full of cocaine, which came out of that coronavirus koosh ball. It is a coronavirus koosh ball. That's exactly what it looks like. I really not only made Tony be in this movie, but I also made him do an entire song with his face covered in white powder. And the song was this one.
A mouthful of sugar and it tastes so sweet. And I know of a happy place where we'll both meet. Oh baby, going from sunlight to shady pastures where we can sit still, but the time moves faster than us for once. Whoa.
I'm sorry, but why does everyone seem like they really need a haircut in this? I think that's just maybe how we all thought it was okay to look for the first decade of the War on Terror. We said, let's all dress in Desert Storm colors and grow our hair out like combat soldiers. Nicole R from my Patreon said, Pantone's 2007 color of the year was obviously brown. Seriously, it was brown and beige yellow. Why? This particular love song between Chuck and Tiny is one that I think felt a little more fully realized in my demo version with only one vocalist, and that one vocalist being me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I am being Stanley Kubrick levels of insulting to my actors right now, aren't I? That's what'll happen. So Chuck and Tiny sing their song and go off, and I had this like CGI shot of, there's a lot of composite stuff. Anytime you see sparks raining from the ceiling or debris flying, I got these like cheap-free green screen effects off of YouTube, and then I would just try to lay them in. So even the dust is composited in, and the sign that says that this is a public drinking water facility. It doesn't look horribly obvious that it's all fake, but to me it would have looked more real if I had used practical dust and practical signage by going to Kinko's and planning this out. I think I even got like $100 budget to do this. Like I just had to tell my teacher what it was and I could spend money on the props. So I don't know why I didn't use that for custom signs. If it makes you feel any better, I don't even remember the name of my teacher when I did this. So your hard work really paid off. I'm just kidding. Teachers are the future. The world is my shepherd. Blah, blah, blah. Rouge Volupté Shine from YSL in the shade 91. I don't know the name of the color, but just in case you're curious, that's the brand I used to work for. Okay, so next up, Chuck is out on the town looking for the new mysterious girl he just met. He finally happens upon Trixie, who was just sitting out by a wall talking to herself and looking at the moon.
Leonard, your kind has hurt me plenty of times before. I guess one more sting couldn't hurt.
I will never hurt you.
Oh no, I think my overly earnest delivery of that line caused Samantha to have a quick mental break from reality. I've never seen someone on camera actively have to dissociate from an acting project they got roped into. I'm so sorry again, Samantha. But I actually remember this was the very last thing that me and Sam had to shoot before she was done with this godforsaken project. And this was shot over Christmas break, which is why my hair is suddenly shorter and I had brand new clothes to show off. And in particular, the night was the night of my New Year's Eve party from 07 to 08. My parents were out at a wedding, so me and my sisters invited a bunch of people over to get drunk. This was shot in my basement, which I tried to make look outdoors by turning off all the lights and showing a picture of the moon, I guess. Although I did realize I needed a single light source, so I used my mom's sun lamp. Even though this was a teen drinking party, I'm glad that we planned for everyone to sleep over. And either way, I'm more concerned that Samantha decided to show up and rage despite clearly fighting off a pretty bad head cold.
I can't stop thinking about that strange and optimistic boy.
Okay, well, it seems like you're kind of sleeping outside right now, so you should probably spend a little bit of time thinking about that, stuffy Stephanie. Don't worry, audience. I made sure that later in the movie, anything weird that Trixie's character is doing is conveniently explained by my twist ending. Mainly because the two of us were trying to wrap this up before my sister's friend Josh gave away all his extra twisted teas. Angela from Patreon says, Trixie said, "You're kind." That's uncalled for. You're right, that was a super racist thing that I made her say. And Nina also says that Sam looks like Ashley Tisdale. And I totally see Julia Louis-Dreyfus for Emily too. Beautiful and funny women. Okay, so Leonard and Trixie are together now. That's great. And also we know that Chuck, I don't know their names either. Chuck was like, got all these spores in his face from that secret thing. So at night, something crazy's happening. God, did I have that drum machine recorded by Animal from the Muppets? Speaking of which, hello sock puppet tentacles that I clumsily photoshopped in. How come even when my hands are supposed to be an alien creature, it looks like I'm performing Bob Fosse choreography? I needed a producer with honest eyes to be looking over my shoulder on this, but I didn't want it because that would have made it extra work. I was avoiding getting the honest feedback because I just wanted to be right about everything in my head. Movies like the one I'm trying to make here are good because of the result of a group effort where a lot of of people are bringing their special skills, where I had this sort of naive intention at the time to just be so good at everything that I could make a blockbuster movie myself. There's no Endgame there. That's never gonna happen. There's no Avengers Endgame in baseball. So the next day, Chuck is acting weird while he's studying this weird thing. He's acting a little irritable, and he actually calls Tiny an idiot and then storms off. So she's like, what's going on with him? So in this next scene is what I think is the only decent lighting that I managed to put together for this whole shoot, except for the glaring headlights and Emily's glasses.
What made you do this to me? What kind of evil got in your head and made you this way? Wait. What the Chuck?
I thought I was Steven Spielberg in Close Encounters of the Third Kind when I keyframed those microscope views together. Nowadays, I can't even put together a good TikTok because the tips of my fingers are so fat. That's why I'm thinking of having my indexes whittled down to scarily sharp points. That way I can at least have a technical advantage over these 19-year-old influencers by jabbing them in the heart with my razor-sharp fingers. I think this is the first project that I edited where I realized I could kind of overlap the visuals differently from the sound to kind of hide and make transitions feel more natural. Here's an example of that working in between two scenes.
What the Chuck?
Checkmate. You know what's kind of sad?
That I made you shoot this whole scene in a dark room with hat hair? I agree with that. Although I do think I was clever for putting string lights inside of that glass chess set so that it illuminated us from beneath a little bit. So you saw that overlap. I had the music from the next scene come in before the visuals cut. I also used that in the exterior scenes to disguise that jumpy change in background noise when I would go between different takes. Staggering the cuts with the audio makes those jumps less noticeable, and also I would blend out the audio by adding in ambient nature sound effects in the background because I didn't record room tone on set. You can see in that exterior scene I used that trick a lot. Notice how the audio of another character will start before we cut to their face. That way you're not hearing an audio change with the visual change, which would make it more noticeable.
I can't help it if that's the way I feel. Life is much too short to waste time.
Actually, I plan on living quite a while.
You will hear an identical bird cawing about 300 times throughout all of the exterior shots.
Life is too short to waste.
Wow, 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 wow. We get it. We're outside. Here's my least favorite song in the whole thing, and definitely the most annoying. Should have cut it.
Hoping and praying to the stars above now, 'cause something's in the
Water! Leonard, Trixie, there are Martians in the water.
There are big, tall, terrible
Martians in the water.
I wish that I could get that terrible picture out of the background, which is showing me and my sister Melanie in our frumpiest outfits on the grass the day before our house burned down. Great portrait, Mom. Brigitta on my Patreon says, did Rachel Bloom see this? Because that would be a great song from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. That is high praise. I doubt I had anything to do with inspiring Rachel Bloom in creating that show, but it's nice to be compared to that. Thank you. Sam's reaction here is priceless.
That's absurd. No, look, I have proof.
What is that?
It's so cute. Cute? Not quite. This is what came down with that meteor and is infecting my Chuck.
We've been so involved with our love for each other that we've missed all of the signs.
Have you drank any of the city's water?
Water's for humans.
What?
Not lately.
Good. And due to my anxiety over Chuck, I haven't eaten anything besides mayonnaise and Tang for the past week.
Thank God.
I don't even think that was my real line. I was just giving an honest reaction to seeing my face on camera for the first time after discovering my mom's full coverage foundation stick. It made my skin look orange, but I mean, look at the color in the rest of this scene. I've seen more appetizing shades of yellow in a necrotizing wound. I used to pickpocket in the emergency waiting room. That's how I know. I know that acting is reacting, but I'm overreacting to everything Sam says. You get a hint at our twist when she's like, water's for humans. And I'm like, and I was like, thank God. Face acting. Face acting for the stage, not for the screen. That's what I'm seeing. In myself. Again, I'm not criticizing my other actors because that would be tacky. I'm not tacky. My house and clothing just look worse than everyone else. This is the title song. Squidmen are erupting.
You'd better go warn the rest of the townspeople.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Seems like they already know.
Again, I'm gonna take all of the blame since I was the director, but on some level, I feel like we all could have been working harder to make sure we were never looking directly into the camera lens and smiling. And the thing is, as a young director, I was too inarticulate to actually give that note and be like, you guys need to act committed like we're in a scene. Don't look at the camera and grin like you're aware that you're in a school play. That's not gonna sell it. It actually looks more embarrassing for you to appear slightly embarrassed to be on camera than for you to just be in it like me, Sam, and Emily were in that scene. And Tony. Now I'm calling out people by name for not acting right. I gotta stop. What is up with this video? Thank you so much to everyone who was in it and everyone who supported my young filmmaking career. I'm criticizing myself in my directing, not you, I promise. Although I noticed some other cool tricks in here. I used trash bags to black out the windows so that I could match the beginning of this song, which was shot on a different day from the chess playing. So the chess playing part was shot at night, and then I needed to match when we were shooting during the day with the group of people. So I started with the windows being blacked out, and then it showed them ripping open the curtain. So I liked that I didn't overthink the blocking too much, and I was okay with having the group of squid men dancers like be over here and jumping over here and doing things all over the place, because it's a kind of cartoony scene where it's giving the feel that they're everywhere. Not that there's actually just hundreds of them, which I think is what I originally wrote for people to be in there in a big crowd, but you know, it's hard to get extras to do anything. And we were in a tiny spot. I still managed to get some choreographed synchronized movement in. I also think it was smart of me to decide to keep the makeup very minimal, just dark circles for everyone, so we could all just rub black around our eyes. Although you can see Kim back there did not want to do that, so she just put on her sunglasses. And this choreography works for having 3 feet of space, I feel. I told my friend Shannon there, listen, I don't know what you do at your cheerleading tournaments, but I'm about to make you do it all over my mom's house. And then I was probably like, what do you mean you don't already have a pre-choreographed routine that works perfectly for this in your head? I thought you were gonna come to set prepared. Now do a backflip on these freshly waxed oak floors. Also, I appreciate my girl Emily looking around this room like there are more than 4 people in it. Way to sell it. Oh, also Shannon here, the Squidmen cheerleader. You might recognize her if you're a TikTok user. She created a show called Shadow the Show around the same time, like the same school year. And I was in a scene or 2 from it. It was like a low budget web series, which has since gone viral on TikTok. So you can see those on YouTube as well. I'll link that below. So we were both in the same video production courses in high school. So we got to work at the school TV station, for example. And our teacher was really big on using what we had around us to find a series that we could continue in the digital space. Because he was really forward thinking like that and knew that that was gonna be the cool thing. Like if you could create a series, low budget, and it was interesting enough to do again and again and again, then you were setting yourself up for success. So that's like in my Pure Flicks videos, I'm talking about like what else could we have done to make this more interesting for the same budget level, because I don't feel like things need a big budget to be watchable. So it's like a renewable content format, if you know what I mean. I like to still think in those terms. When I was creating content for brands and for social media, for the beauty world, I always had the same thought process. Like set people up with an expectation to expect good stuff and then keep giving them good stuff. Content is king. It's funny to see how like this early thousands iteration of that affected me and Shannon, who both still work in this space. Shannon works in production as well now. So we got set up for success with our teacher. Anyway, this next scene I'm really excited about because it's hard for musicals, even professionally written ones, to push the story forward in the midst of a song. So I found sort of a clumsy way of doing that here. Oh, so this is the twist. This is the twist ending being revealed. Nobody wanted to tell me that my music was awful in this, really? It sounds like the Grudge mixtape that gets left behind if an EDM DJ dies in extreme anger. So me and Tiny are apprehended by the Squid Men, while suddenly Trixie is being treated like their queen.
They're aliens! They've been taking over our friends' brains!
I know, but I'm kind of... Well, they're kind of my ride home.
She's secretly one of them. Now all of the hints that I was dropping throughout the script make sense. If only anybody could bear to watch this for a second time without inner ear damage. Again, that's all thanks to my audio engineering and not due to the very talented vocalists in this, who I have also been making fun of for other reasons. I'm like, don't worry guys, your voice sounded great, but your hair... I remember my dad at the time watching this and being like, Nick, your editing is perfect. I want you to watch this, Father Dearest, and let me know if you still feel that way.
Are you crazy?
Do you dare insult the queen?
Sonia, just act cool, it's fine. Back off, hag!
Yeah, I just served up 9 different cuts in the action for an 8-second clip, so I'm sorry if your brain just rattled around in your skull a little bit. That'll happen. I guess I just thought it was important that we see Sonia get pushed from every possible angle, sometimes 2 or 3 different times. Tiny really stepped in it by insulting the queen and then pushing someone over.
You lied to me.
The queen! She runs!
That's my sister Melanie, who I knew would deliver that dialogue with the power that it needed because of her one line that we had to sit through a 3-hour production of The Crucible to see. I'll never forget it. She was Susanna Walcott in the courtroom scene and she said, "I freeze! I freeze!" And I was just sitting there in the audience like, oh my God, you are such a simp for Abigail Williams. Or whatever they said about people back then. Susanna, you seem desperate this moon phase. I forgot that me and Tiny and Chuck all just die unceremoniously in this movie. I can definitely, again, see traces of my trademark dark sense of humor and wacky dialogue full of strange word choices. So, yeah, we are dead.
And well, that brings us to right now.
You're right, let's just focus on the present moment and not the reason why you sometimes had a jacket and sometimes didn't in that previous sequence. What's important is that we're all together now in the world's most mental hospital in a horror movie looking lighting that I could find in all of New Hampshire. I thought it was fun that I did like a time jump. You know, I started at the end of the movie, then had her flash back. I think it was an interesting framing device for the script to at least just elevate it, give it some interest outside of just a straight chronological film. I don't know that it was enough to make this memorable, since obviously no one had heard about this until I dug it up just now. It's almost like, I feel like at the time, I was just trying to really replicate stories that I already saw and see how close to professional I could make it, which I think is sort of the trademark of being in your referential stage as an artist. Like, you're just trying to copy what you see for the most part. But I think that comes from wanting to learn the rules so that as an, experienced filmmaker, I would be more capable of breaking them and defining my own standards for the medium. But looking back now, I'm like, there's no time like the present to put your real voice in everything. And while there are moments here where it comes through, it doesn't feel fully me.
I wish I had been more honest with you, and I just really wish it didn't have to end this way. But I can't say I truly regret it. Because through all of this, I got to meet you. And that's not so bad, is it?
Yeah, not for you. She said, hey, the fact that I enslaved the human race is not such a big deal. Because if you think about it, now I have all of these human slaves, including you. Mwah! That's the ending I gave. I think it's a fun nihilistic ending that like, oh, the earth got enslaved. But let's just look at my amazing, not even green screen effects. I used chroma key because I knew it was easier just to overexpose a white wall and have my actor stand in front of that than it was to evenly light a green screen.
I told you before that I planned on living quite a while. And now we'll both get to live long lives together.
Staring at the bright red sky today, wondering if this had never happened, then we'd never have met. And I'm so glad we did.
Not to brag, but The Hollywood Reporter wrote that my visuals in this scene are what inspired James Cameron's Avatar. No, it wasn't a news story in The Hollywood Reporter. I'm talking about the actual journalist who lives in Hollywood who I blackmailed to publish flattering misinformation about me. You picked the wrong rent boy to get scammed by, Ace. And that's the sudden ending of my movie. I really think that I didn't know how to write a 3-act story in this thing. Like, it had a beginning and an end. Did it have a middle? I maybe just had a beginning and a middle. Yeah, we basically skipped the 3rd act. I feel like Leonard, I know what it is. Leonard and and Tiny, the names! Leonard and Tiny getting kidnapped should have been the third act conflict. Or rather, Leonard finding out that Trixie is one of the aliens should have been the third act conflict. And then their resolution could have been a little bit more character driven and not just like, and then we're all on the planet and we accept it. You know, we don't see any satisfying conclusion for either Chuck, Tiny, or Leonard, just Trixie. So in that way, we set up a lot of loose ends, but it's fine because I just kind of wanted to play my cut B-side songs in the credits.
And by the time you read this, I'll be gone.
Oh! Airhead. Alright, this is really working.
It seems like I felt obligated to include a blooper reel just so the audience was aware I wasn't forcing people to be in this movie at gunpoint. And I also, I guess, just to fully admit that that shot from the opening scene included random footage of happy teens exercising. Aw, that girl said sorry, Nick. In fact, a lot of my classmates growing up were very sweet, supportive, and hopefully not super litigious, because I'm pretty sure I didn't get a signed photo release for many of you young ladies. Let's just pretend that my yearbook was a legal document. Perpetuity, mama. Also, I'm not worried because if anyone ever presses charges against me, I will find some way to describe it so I sound like the victim of a hate crime. That's my gay agenda. I'm just kidding. I don't speak for all gay people, just one. Oh, wow, so here we are back in my personal archives. What do you think of Squidmen in the Hall? Thank you so much to everyone for being along with me for the journey as I learned to become a more competent storyteller than what is shown here. My friends and family who supported my film career from ever. I owe all of that I have to you. And thank you to all of my patrons for watching the full thing and giving me your feedback. And everyone here on YouTube, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more clip breakdowns from my past like this. But most importantly, if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right over here. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turn on notifications and you'll always be the first to know when I'm opening up my portfolio. Also, as I said, I've got merch and a Patreon where you can access exclusive bonus content and get involved in the behind the scenes making of my videos like this. And as we close out the year, I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody who has interacted with me here on YouTube, on Patreon, or anywhere else online for all of the love and support and amazing memories we've been able to create together. This has been an incredible year as a creator, and I am so grateful for every single minute of it. Thank you to everyone who's making this possible and who talk to me and make me feel so loved and accepted every single day. I'm very, very grateful. So I'm wishing you a happy new year, a super happy new year, and Christmas, New Year, and Labor Day. I'll see you in the next video. Mwah! You guys are all the greatest. I will see you next time. Wow, he's talking too much. He's talking too much.